time we are going to talk about a method that you can use to work on your soloing. Well, okay, so now what kind of method are we going to talk about today? Well, in every scale, whether we're playing the pentatonic scale, the blues scale, the major scale, the minor scale, the vast majority of scales that we normally will use in I should say, Western music, there's always that first note, right? It's the first note. If it's a C major, it's a C is the first note. If it's a D major, it's a D. If it's in, B flat minor pentatonic, it's the B flat is the first note. What do we mean by the first note? They call it the first scale degree, or it's called the tonic. Or in the words of the infamous greatest resource known to man, Wikipedia, is defined as this. In music, the tonic is the first degree of the diatonic scale, the first note of the scale, and the tonal center or final resolution tone. That's kind of key right there. That is commonly used in the final cadence in tonal classical music, popular music, and traditional music. Okay, so now what does that all really mean? Well, it just means that with the one little phrase that I said, it's the final resolution tone. Okay, so if you're still kind of new to this, or you're struggling with trying to get your solo to kind of tell that story, you're still trying to, oh man, how to make this work? Well, here's a simple way to do it. We use the tonic as our resolution. That's often, if you remember last week, we talked about English, I got the commas and I got the periods. Well, the tonic is oftentimes the periods. Usually the note, not all the time, but most of the time you can kind of look at it as being the final resolution. That kind of told that part of the story, I am done. Now we're off to the next part. Or it just might completely end the story. But use a form of music that I love using that is the simplest of all to kind of work on, and it's the blues. If you're playing modern music, you're playing metal, you're playing country, you're playing whatever, the blues generally is the root of it all. And plus it's easier to explain, it's easy for you to work with. Because generally, traditionally, it's pretty much the three chords that we're dealing with in any blues format. I know there's always things we add on to it, but I'm going to just take a very, very super basic blues, 12-bar blues in A. All right, got just a quick stupid track. Don't worry, it's not the most perfect thing. It's not important whether it's perfect. The idea is we're going to learn how to tell the story. All right, so I'm just going to take a simple A blues format, and what we're going to do is this. It's blues in A, right? A is a primary chord. So there's A, there's D, and there's E. So let me grab the guitar. And just to go over really, really quick in the blues format. What's the blues? Well, there's A, right? We play that for 4 bars, right? And then 2 bars of D, 2, another 2 of A, 1, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. And then we do 1 bar of E, and then 1 bar of D, and A, and then some sort of turnaround, and we start all over again. All right, so that is in a nutshell the blues. If you want to know more on how to construct that and how to play the blues, I should have a link somewhere up in there. Just click over that and I talk a little bit more about how to play the 12-bar blues. Okay, so let's come back. Here we go. So I'm going to simply use the one scale that most of you probably have learned first, which is the pentatonic scale, right? A lot of us start there. It's pretty easy. It's a 5-note scale. We're going to play this in A. Specifically, I'm going to use the A minor, although you can certainly use the A major pentatonic. But I'm just going to stick with the A minor. We keep this really super simple. And what we're going to do is we're going to end each little phrase on the A. All right? In blues, you can kind of do that. Some points you might feel like you want to do more, but just for the exercise, end that phrase in A. Now, how long is the phrase? Well, the phrase could be grouped in 4s, right? So I might want to group it in every 4 beats, which is every bar, or maybe every 2 bars I tell the story. But at the end of each of that bar, you want to count in your head 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. And somewhere at the end of one of those bars, you want to end whatever that phrase is you want to tell. Now, it could be a simple 1-note thing, or it could be several notes. So let me demonstrate. I'm going to take this around the horn here, and I just got this, like I said, it's a goofy track, so don't, it's just something I made up like really spur of the moment. And I'm going to play it. I'm going to count into it. Here we go. All right, and And here we go. All right. All right, one line. Here we go. I keep bending on the A. All right, so ignore the backtrack. So anyway, did you see what I was doing there? Let me explain what I was doing. I was just ending every 2 bars, which is a good place to end. It doesn't have to be that, but I chose like every 2 bars, I wanted to end that little line. And that was kind of like the comma, although we're kind of going to cheat a little bit and just say that A note is the comma and the period. It's just ending everything. But it gives you an idea of how the phrasing goes, right? So I'm just sticking here playing this part of the pentatonic scale. And you got to know where all your A's are. By the way, you got to know where your notes are. So if you don't know where your notes are, I got a link below my little note finder thing. You might want to grab that thing, and it's got 7 steps. Sure that you know where your notes are at. It's kind of key to this whole idea. And then I'm sticking with the pentatonic scale. Like I said, I'm doing the A minor, and I'm playing mostly, a lot of this is in this B.B. King zone. There's another link somewhere. It's probably going to pop up on how to work with a creative constraint called the B.B. King zone. All right, this is a nice way to even trim it down even more. We're going to work 5 notes, only 5 notes in that scale, but always land on the tonic like we're doing right here. So what was I doing? I was just very simply, there's my A. I repeated the note. Something as simple as that, landing on that A, and then picking at the end. Every 2 bars is pretty good in the blues. It doesn't have to be, but it's a good spot to try and train your ear and train yourself a little bit and work on ending on that tonic. Now, it may feel awkward. It may feel like you actually want to do more, but as the exercise, for the exercise, you probably just want to stick with that A. Next week, we're going to cover how to add on to that and add the other notes that are really good ones to land on. All right, so stay tuned for that one. Rock on.